What's up, people? Elder J out here in the garden, still messing around. Everything still looks great. Everything is doing good. You guys saw my last video about mulching. Everything is looking wonderful. I have two videos I want to do today, two quick ones. And they were all inspired by my mint plant here. I was starting to move this and everything started breaking on it. This plastic is just had it. Being out here in the elements just destroyed it. So I am going to be taking my mint plant out of that. I got some other whiskey barrels. They have been holding up very well, so I wanted to definitely do that and get this moved. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys, though, the way this mint inspired me is just because you guys heard me say it. I bought this mint plant this is the third year. Okay, so think about it. I bought this plant for like $2.50 possibly, put it in the center of this planter in 2018, and all through 2018, all through 2019, and by the looks of it, all through 2020, this plant is giving me, it's going to keep producing for me. And that's because this is a perennial, cold hardy, frost tolerant herb. It's technically a weed, but we use it as herbs. So that's what this is. And so it inspired me because you guys know I've been wanting to do, I've been talking about creating a medicinal garden, but I also have been thinking about, how about some of the things that we grow? Why don't I grow more things like this that I only have to plant one time and then grow back every year? You know, I look at my parsley here that survived. I look at my raspberries and blackberries that come back every year. I look at my blueberries, which I'm about to repot. I've got a tub. I'm gonna put these in this big old tub together, and I'm gonna use those containers to put some of the herbs that I purchased in. And it's like, you know, these things come back every year. All I do is give it a nice dose of fertilizer every year, fresh dose of compost, and they come back every single year. So instead of having to get seeds and all of that other stuff, why not have more things like this in your garden? So this is one of the things that I'm thinking about, just so that I have to do less. Now, there's certain things you can't do, right? You can't do perennial cabbage and lettuce and collards and kale. You can't do that. But for what you can do, why not have a bunch of things that you want to grow? Try to grow them as perennials. Now, the way you want to grow something as perennial, especially if you're growing it in a container, it's a little bit easier if you're putting it in your native soil for some of these things. But something like a mint, for example, you don't want in your native soil because mint will just start to spread everywhere. It takes over. So you need to contain it somewhere. But in order, if you want to try to do something like that, now it's sometimes it is kind of difficult, right? And it does depend on your area. You guys down south have a better chance of having things over winter than people north. I'm in zone 7, so 7 and below we get colder. 7 and above it gets warmer. So if you're like in Georgia or Florida, right, some of the herbs that we can't grow perennially in a container because the temperatures drop so low, you guys can. So I want you guys to start thinking about what can I grow annually, and I don't always have to go buy it or have to do something with it. And like I said, one of the things you can do to kind of ensure it is to give it some volume. So instead of taking a mint plant and putting it in some old baby container, right, that will, when it gets colder, there's less area, less protection in that little thing. Then when you get something big, it's a huge area, it's a huge amount of soil that's in there, which, you know, can keep maybe some of the roots and stuff that gets closer to the edge may start to freeze a little bit, but the things that's in the center remain, and the plant can regrow from the roots that remain in the center. So the more area that you have to grow actually allows it to, you have a better opportunity in the colder areas to regrow. Also, sometimes it's a variety thing. When you're buying varieties, so for example, I hope something like this, let me see. All right. You see, sometimes when you buy a plant, see at the bottom, it says zone 5. It's saying this plant is hardy up to zone 5. So that means if you're a zone 5 and above, it'll work for you. So, or is it zone 5 and below? I can't remember now. I think it's zone 5 and below. I might have those backwards, but you'll buy a variety that works in your area, and you have a better opportunity to have those plants come back every year. Forgive me guys for getting that all mixed up. But so you want to do that. So even if you start something from seed, try to buy a perennial variety, read up on that variety, see what zones it's hardy at, right? So I know for example, let me give you my apples, right? Now, y'all remember I tried to grow lemons and it didn't work, right? Now watch what the apple says. The apple says, excuse me, got ants all over me. It says cold hardiness, zone 4 through 8, up to -30 degrees. You see that? From -30 to 20 degrees. That's how cold this plant can handle. So I'm zone 7. So this fits right in my zone. So my zone fit in there. That means this plant, this particular tree is hardy, will survive the winters for the most part in my particular zone. That's what that means when it says cold hardy. So that's what you're looking for. You find you some plants that's cold hardy for your zone. So of course you got to find your zone. I got videos on that. Search my videos for finding your zone and all that. And then you can get yourself a plant that will continue to grow every single year. So just wanted to throw that tip out there. I'm going to do another video right now. Peace.